this shaped you as a person?
And so you went from, very slow, isolated data, and also currently with all the crisis that is happening in the Gulf.
Like historically male dominated in terms of decision making, especially as a woman.
The industry has been, predominantly, I would say it was male dominant.
Did it influence how you communicate confidence over time?
I took every opportunity to ensure that I build my confidence, my competence, my learning.
For diversity and inclusion, especially in the industry, still needs to unlearn about leadership and inclusion.
So I think it's a two-way street. I think there's a lot women can do to position themselves using the right, algorithms, right models.
Artificial intelligence is adding a whole other layer when it comes to decision making. As you've mentioned, ChatGPT, it requires data, not just in theory, but in practice.
Hello, and welcome to the Tech for Impact podcast. I'm your host, Masi Siro, a petroleum engineering student at Kenyatta University. So, what exactly is the Tech for Impact podcast? It is an initiative created under the SPE Data Science and Engineering Analytics Students and Young Professionals Group to help bridge the gap between students and industry. It encompasses the 4 technical sections: the Data Science and Engineering Analytics technical section, Research and Development technical section, the Asset Management technical section, and the recently developed Robotics and Automated Systems technical section. The Tech for Impact podcast highlights various topics, from digital transformation to automation to research and innovation, leadership, decision making, diversity and inclusion. In today's episode, we are excited to have Ms. Sushma Ban, the Technical Director for the SP Data Science and Engineering Analytics. I was privileged to meet her in Tanzania at the Africa Tech Conference. If there's one thing that stood out for me, is how she emphasizes data. This therefore inspired our topic for today, from data to decisions. You don't want to miss out, so stay locked in.
Welcome to the Tech for Impact podcast, and today we'll be hosting our first guest, Sushma Ban. Welcome, Sushma. So,
thank you.
Sushma, will you introduce yourself beyond the titles? Who are you as a person, and what's your journey?
Absolutely. And Mercy, thank you so much. I'm really delighted and thrilled that you and a few of the students have started this Students and YP DSC network. So thanks for the opportunity. To introduce myself, I would say I'm really a global data advocate and industry leader who specializes in simplifying complex problems into clear, scalable solutions that create real business impact. I'm very passionate about the significance of data in enabling, AI digital success, and come with experiences that shape my insights and thought leadership in that area. I've spent more than 30 years in Shell, where I served as Chief Data Officer for subsurface and wells and helped build global standards that transformed how teams work today. And currently, I serve as the Technical Director of Data Science and Engineering Analytics at SPE. We're very keen to champion AI for energy. It's our sort of flagship events and knowledge sharing that artificial intelligence is a huge enabler and a game changer for energy. And we have our technical sections. Beyond all that, I'm a lifelong learner, I would say, a mentor, and a very proud mom. A role that really shapes my leadership, my resilience, and my belief in the potential of every young person.
Yeah, that's good, especially how you highlighted every aspect of your journey. And looking back at your journey, what would you say shaped you as a person in decision making and in energy systems?
So if I look back early in my career, when I joined Shell, which was in late 80s, I realized that the technical astuteness and staying close to cutting edge technology were essential, especially in the fast moving world of oil and gas. And when I joined Shell, I really witnessed a major shift in production. We moved from going from dumb terminals to SCADA systems, which were systems to allow quick enablement of setting our field operations with real-time systems. And so you went from, very slow, isolated data to real-time information flowing through RTUs and programmable logic units. And that experience really taught me how quickly, technology can reshape operations and how important it is to adapt with it. So, and later from production, and I moved to exploration, I saw another transformation, and that was the rise of 3D seismic. There was advanced interpretation software and the power of visualization. So suddenly, subsurface understanding became much more richer, faster, and more collaborative. And as the time has moved on, you can see that fluctuating oil prices, and also currently with all the crisis that is happening in the Gulf, you can see how external forces can really change the priorities overnight. And so that is something that one has to factor in. And one has to be very agile about it, how you can take all these elements and think about how do you position yourself with the right systems, with the right technology, and work it collaboratively. We can specifically see right now there's a huge buzz about the crisis, but also the event of AI technology. So really it is thinking about all those elements, and every moment, every project we do, we see elements that really help us learn, reflect back, and think about, when we go forward, how do we take those learnings and set ourselves in a better positions? How do we do it with better teams? How do we do it efficiently with systems? And most importantly, with the people. So I think it's just a continuous effort, but definitely looking back, there has been multitudes, I would say, evolutions from where we were and where we are today. Though needless to say, the processes are more or less still same, but how we approach our problem solving and how do we do it efficiently is what counts today.
So we've highlighted that the industry is highly technical and it's male dominated, like historically male dominated. How would you say that environment has shaped you in terms of decision making, and especially as a woman?
Well, I would say that, yeah, it was, the industry has been, predominantly, I would say it was male dominant. And there were other factors, it's been competitive, it's about quick adaptability. So really understanding and position yourself with the right know-how. You have to learn that you have to be competitive, that you have to be confident. And really what you have to be focused on is driving the results. I think that really makes all the difference. And needless to say, the industry has changed significantly now. Even if we look at the key roles, we see that women are working on the platforms, they are well engineers, they are in areas where previously you wouldn't see them. And also, if you look at the Society of Petroleum Engineers leadership itself, you can see that it is led by very, experienced women. Right now, currently, our president is Jennifer Meniskin, and we have more women who have taken part, also the upcoming president. So I think the elements are there, but again, if you are, grounded yourself with the result to move forward. There's a common saying that, genius is 99% perspiration and 1% inspiration. So there is no substitute for driving and delivering. And you have to do it with an equal footing with your peers. You have to do it, be it men or women. And the key thing is you have to excel. You have to showcase results, and you have to differentiate yourself with merit, with your skills and competence, with your learnings, and bringing that every day to work. And you have to do with that confidence and courage. It was not easy for women, but things can really change when you go grounded with knowledge and confidence. And again, I think things are still not very fair, but they are continuously changing. So you have to come prepared. You have to know your stakeholders. You have to know who are the decision makers. And most importantly, stay professional, stay calm and confident.
Okay. You've mentioned confidence. did it influence how you communicate confidence over time?
I would say that I learned, I can recall very vividly that my boss was insistent on building, assertiveness and how we communicate, and so I did that skills and confidence, especially when working with senior management and executives. I took leadership MBA while I was working full time with 2 kids and a family responsibilities. So let me just continue to say that I took every opportunity to ensure that I build my confidence, my competence, my learnings. And as I was saying that I had taken communications very early in my career, but also later on I took leadership classes. I have taken courses to help build my knowledge, which was domain related. So that was continuous learning that gives you confidence, but also I enrolled in executive MBA while I was working full time with 2 kids, family responsibilities. So I would say learning, developing, and being self-aware are very important. And take feedback as a gift and keep growing. Learn to be decisive, backed by data and facts, and keep your emotions or reactiveness managed. I think those are very important things.
You are a known advocate for diversity and inclusion, especially in the industry. So what would you say that the current industry still needs to unlearn about leadership and inclusion?
So I think it's a two-way street. It's definitely the industry and the women themselves have to be accountable. I think there's a lot women can do to position themselves and see that they are well skilled, they are educated, they learn the skills that are necessary to make them successful. I think when you go with those elements, that really positions you well. Also, there's a huge merit in reaching out to mentors, to role models, understanding, how you can, again, enable yourself and not feel in any way, sort of feeling unsure about where you are, understanding the culture where you are, what does it take? What is the business looking for strategically, wise and technologically? You need to have those elements. But going to industry, I think they have to put their trust and faith more in women. I think there already has been a shift where women are stepping up to key roles, be it in new areas like geothermal. I know engineer Elizabeth Rober from Kenya, for a known geothermal leader. Jennifer, our president herself, is a completions expert, and she's a industry leader. Also heads petroleum engineering. So once you have for success, and definitely we have to take every opportunity to be there to showcase how we are results focused, how we can bring visibility, how we can bring impact. And as you said earlier, communications is a huge lever to step up and showcase that. You can do that in your companies, you can do it externally. You can definitely do it through platforms like SPE, which brings consortium of industry majors and service companies and you name it all together. So I think you have to kind of learn and be adaptive and position yourself so that you can also start making the changes in the industry itself. But definitely, I think the key thing is to provide and give women opportunities to step up. I think that's very key. Unless you showcase that, you trust them, and you can allow them to lead and do specific roles, you will never have come anyway. I see role unless those biases. So I think we have to collectively make an effort to change any biases, be it about gender or about country backgrounds or anything else. The key thing is to have the right skills, the right training, the mindset, and the experiences that enrich you to step forward and do your role well and do it, better and beyond the expectations.
I'd like us to now shift into the core of this conversation. From the title, it's from data to decisions. So let's now talk about decisions. Over the career, how would you say decision making has evolved?
So if you look from the systems perspective, our energy systems, they operate under uncertainty. There are a lot of decisions that have to be taken, and they're high stakes. So when we look at, especially like subsurface, there's a lot of unpredictability. We have to get more precision, more surety of how our decisions are made, and in more and more we are going towards making sure we have access to the right information, right data, and we can do that faster and better. In the past, I remember when we had deep water assets, it took decades, first to make the discovery. And I'm kind of reflecting back and thinking about Shell working in Nigeria, for example. And to bring on board, all these assets to be productive. Look at it, decision making has become more prepared by all kinds of systems we have. The sense of urgency here, and also you want to maximize your return on investment. How do we bring all our end-to-end systems and information and people together, right from early discovery to wells to development to production, for example, and do it in a seamless fashion. So, your decision making in the energy systems, and again, this can be a huge topic itself, but all the way where we have, for example, silos based on systems or silos based on disciplines, those have to be kind of improved. You have to see how can you bring early data and with the current real-time data and bring it all together to the right people, be it whether you're using technology like artificial intelligence, and be it whether you are, leveraging your SMEs or myriad of, people who are involved. It's very key that you do it in a very focused manner, looking at what problem you're solving, what do you want to achieve, and bringing that all together effectively. So I would say there's a huge shift in how the systems work now versus, like I was saying in the past, like in late 80s. And definitely the technology has made a huge difference, but also it is a mindset. It's about the people who are involved in it. It's also the management. The expectations are they can get the faster rewards. The return on investment has to be more feasible. And you also have to do all these efforts, keeping in mind, safety and security and ethics and compliance. So you have to do it keeping all those elements, in the forefront while you do all your decision making. And again, the timing is right to leverage, all the fast changes that are happening, be it in other industries, but oil and gas can definitely quickly adapt them. We can always learn from what's happening, for example, in the health industry, how they map their systems, how they bring years of understanding. For example, in radiology, for example, we can use similar in our seismic interpretation. So I think the quick learning and leveraging insights and bringing it together from our expert systems, but ensuring that you have your people and management on board, and you're breaking all these silos is what is going to make a big difference.
So you're always mentioning data, like every time you mention data and how important is it. So how will you say, how will you identify if this data quality will improve decision quality, or if this data will create a false sense of certainty?
So the way I believe, and I have seen from my experiences, data is definitely a key ingredient. It's not the only thing, but the first thing is really being mindful and understanding of, what are you trying to achieve? Whether it's an end of a process or you're trying to achieve some goal that your company has set up or your department has set up, and really understanding to achieve that, what data is critical. Sometimes people get very daunted with, you have to broil the whole ocean, everything, and that's not necessary. So really, for whatever process it is, you have to map and see what is the critical data. That's something I personally had led and been involved in Shell's well reservoir and facility management, and we saw that most of the assets, whether it was in, Far East or in Africa or Asia and Americas, they all were struggling with having the right data. Because once you have that data, then the decision making, review it, you can use technology. So keeping in mind, what is your end goal, and what critical data plays a role, it's definitely very key to see how do you access it. Is it of the right quality? And you said the right word. Quality is very important. You can make sure that it's accurate. For example, you're trying to use pressure data. I mean, if it is like 2 years old, it'll be all erroneous, right? Your analysis and the outputs will be incorrect. Or if you're looking at some spatial location of a well and it's not correct, you're looking at something based in U.S. Gulf of America or Gulf of Mexico, and you're looking at coordinates that are somewhere else, that will be totally, irrelevant and erroneous. So in the safety critical processes that you are using you're using the data with the right information, and make that available to the right decision makers, whether it's using the right systems or it is, however it is pulled sitting in from the cloud, or if you're running your AI algorithms. The key thing is, ascertaining and making sure you have the right elements that will be provided to the right automated systems or the people who can be the SMEs, and then you can get to what your end results are. And this is in anywhere, whether you're looking at financial systems or you're looking at your personnel, HR systems. You have to have the right data and information to make your right decisions. So yeah, so I'm a big proponent of data. Oftentimes we see that departments or companies want results, and they may not have sustained practices or have a data foundation that enables that. It is an investment, and it is something that has to be done in a sustained, manageable manner, so that whenever you need something that has to be executed and run, you are doing it with the right information. And if you look at currently, like if you have used any AI tools, I'm sure you're using different easy tools, even like ChatGPT or Copilot and other things. If you don't give it right instructions, if you don't feed it with the right test data, it'll come with something that's not of much use. So in everyday practices we have, you have to make sure that it is founded on the data, and then you can, assess it, apply it, and make the interpretation that gets you to the right decisions. Do you agree, Mercy?
Yeah, I agree. In your view, would you say that does data actually change decisions, or does it change how people justify these decisions?
Well, I think data is something very factual, and yeah, it does change how the decisions are made. So it's something that if used in the right manner, I'll take the example of, for example, the seismic interpretation. You might have all the data, you have the images, and somebody, doesn't leverage or interpret it in the right manner. You can still have issues with it. So I think it's a bi-pronged approach, that you have to have the right necessary critical data, and then you have to have the right people with the right skills, using the right algorithms, right models, and leveraging it to do have the right science behind it to get to the outcomes you want. So it has to be done in a holistic manner. You can't do one without the other.
So artificial intelligence is adding a whole other layer when it comes to decision making. As you've said, you've mentioned ChatGPT, it requires data. And so let's measure on AI. When you talk about AI, what sectors in the energy industry will you say AI is improving decisions, not just in theory, but in practice?
Yeah, so I think AI is still in pretty early stages in how it's being applied in oil and gas. But needless to say, there has been still few years of that there's a lot more experiences, but it's hyped up. I can already see that there are several exactly where you have data and information intense processes where they are repeatable recognition. They are that's where actually the AI has started being used. I'll give you an example. For example, SP itself, it has, almost 100 years of information and data that they have gathered. And this is like really energy and oil and gas focused information. It's not something that you're pulling up from the internet. So we have large language models which are very specific to querying that information. And that has been already worked to SPE, that you can go and get very specific information, whether you're talking about the research being done. And these are actually efforts from, the whole industry members. So that's one example I'm just giving. But also, if you look at, I earlier mentioned the seismic interpretation, for example. That involves, many, 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 patterns. You're again looking at slice of earth. You're trying to see where are the fractures, where can you possibly have potential, reserves. And if you have, tested and fed that repeatable data to your AI engines, it's much more easier and more accurate, I would say, than your geologists and geophysicists making those decisions. But you can augment those insights with human SME knowledge and experiences and get more accurate results. Also, if you look at in your equipment failures, predictability, there's already a lot of AI ML efforts that are in place. In production systems, you're looking at safe operations. You can do a lot more efforts with your AI, checking, what was the past data, what are the symptoms, what does it showcase, and humanly trying to understand and access everything, which might take, a lot of your past data, your historical data, and bringing in the current data might be a lot more tedious. So when you complement it with AI, it's a huge enabler. And I know like a lot of young people and people who are already thinking, AI is a threat. Really, truly, it's a game changer. It's for access of the data and information more easier, and that can be knowledgeable, validated. But there will be a time when our decisions will start getting more and more autonomously done. If we know that certain indicators are showcasing that a valve is failing and it has to be, or a part has to be ordered. It could be already been done if it was tested and before an engineer takes that decision. So I would say that the opportunities are tremendous. And again, it's applying them and really for companies to scale them up. And for scaling these up across like countries and assets, you need to make sure that you have your non-homogeneous systems are more standardized and they can be sort of homogeneous to apply those. Otherwise, your solutions can be very point solutions which are applied to one country and one system. But the opportunity to transform and do things in a much faster, better, cheaper, and efficient way are just absolutely tremendous, especially with areas where you have ton of information and data. You can, in companies and opportunities, you can customize your solutions using AI for what you're trying to do. And again, areas which are very intense with data and information, you can start doing that. But also, and again, there are a lot of experts who know this area better than me, AI, agentic AI, which is really getting to not only to address your, results, but is also helping make your decisions. That is being applied, for example, in robots. It's like able to take, information and knowledge and really truly think like human beings and take the decisions. Like I was saying, if you have some kind of equipment failure, it can be proactively ordering that equipment, bringing it, and that can save an engineer time. So you'll see more and more that happening, provided you have again worked this with the right end results in mind. You have provided the data, you have tested it. So we'll see more and more of this taking that on and sharing that to our SP members.
Do you think the industry is ready to trust AI with autonomous decisions?
This is a good question, Mercy. And I think the way I would say the industry, the oil and gas specifically, it's not ready yet to completely trust anything blindly. It has to be readied and to trust it. So basically, you have to have very reliable and proven deliverables. And once this is seen, like over the time and period, it will start beginning to trust into AI. And specifically, it is also about the teams of people who are using these AI tools. And you have to understand that we have had, multitudes of experts and SMEs. In Shell, I know we used to call them like principal technical experts, subject matter experts, and then you had the global discipline heads. And really, it is getting them to see the results for themselves. So as they start seeing the authenticity, the non-erroneous results, the more and more they start seeing that. Again, that's why I was saying that the more we have validated results, these have been vetted with solid data, there's testing. And also as these AI tools are used, um, how attuned are our mid-level, our experienced people to use these tools correctly. We hear a lot about prompt engineering. If you don't set the right context for how your AI is being used, you may not get the right results. You might do a simple test with OpenAI and say, hey, make my these graphs or take an image and merge with this. But if you do not do it with the right instructions, right framing, you don't get the right results. So I think the same thing is in the area of oil and gas, that where it is about operation reliability, you cannot afford to have any errors. You have to have solid dependability on these results. And this has to be proven still, it has to be seen. Also, where you're dealing with, regulatory and safety, you have to make sure that your results are trustable, that you can not only have them yourself, but you can also submit them, let's say, for regulatory and reporting. So the more and more we are skilling and training our people, our management to use it, and the more reliable our models and algorithms are, the better we will be at that. And also, in most of the companies for digital transformation, we had governance set up. You need the same thing. You need the data readiness, the governance, and the explainability. So people can understand how these AI results can be authenticated or they are trusted and verified. And also, are you doing it with the right safeguards? The guardrails which are used for a company's brand, for reputation. So all these elements have to slowly be embedded and grown. I think there's already certain areas where we see good results, but it's still a journey that has to be fulfilled and done.
There's this concept of being quote unquote technically right. Did you ever have to unlearn being technically right, or how did you approach all that?
Well, technically right means that you're grounded with facts, you're grounded with data. Things are grounded on information and the right science behind it. That's what to me technically grounded means, that it is based on how things are done. But needless to say, when decisions are made, it's not always just about being technically right. There are myriad of facts that are holistically shape a decision. It could be related to what is strategically thought through. There might be an element of risk taking that company is willing to take, with technology giving you certain confidence, but you're still going into, say, unknown markets, unknown territories. So it's a combination of a lot of things that are taken in consideration to make decision making. But if you are technically astute and you also are founded on, accurate data, and you're quite factual, I think that really helps. But ultimately, you have to see, where you're heading, what kind of goals it is, and the management, the experts, they collectively take that decision making. So it's a combination of several factors, Mercy. That's what I'm trying to say.
You say that being technically right won't lead to making a decision. So what would you say makes people that remain technical experts, and what differentiates them from people that became decision makers?
No, so I'm not saying that being technically right. I think being technically right is very important, and you have to be grounded in, the science behind it. You have to use your engineering and scientific principles to lead it. But oftentimes you can see that when a decision is made, it can be based on, the financial impact. It can be about entering new markets. It can be about trying something new with that technology, which may not have been 100% proven. So there is an element of, expectations and risk taking that oftentimes companies and teams do, but they have to be grounded definitely in tested technology. They have to, but um, there's nothing that is always 100% done. I mean, I can take a easy example of, when software releases are done or they were done, from um, early mid 90s to today. Everything is not completely matured. Let's say AI. You see that OpenAI is every few months or years, releasing a new version. So even though we have used that technology, the shareability of that technology is still profoundly improving every day. What kind of guardrails it has. We recently found that one company was releasing their software in a very guarded manner. So even though we might have technology, it is an enabler, but ultimately it's really the human mind thinking about that you have to take into fold to come to a certain decision. And this can be based on, again, a lot of factors, what the business is wanting. It can be based on where you're heading. And the more grounded you are in technology and sure-betted you are, the better it is. But everyday scenarios, we have, a lot of uncertainty. And we have to use intelligence. We have to use our experiences, your intuition to go forward. So it's a combination of a lot of elements. That's why sometimes, when you have multidisciplinary teams, you have people coming even from finance and HR and management and your experts, they come together to say, hey, can we make this decision? So I'm with definitely be technically astute, but you also have to be business savvy, and you have to be holistically looking at what are the dynamics playing in the current scenario that you're heading out, and then make a very holistic, best decision you can. Understand the assumptions you have made.
Okay. So if you were to zoom out completely, what would you think the next major shift in how decisions will be made, especially in the energy industry?
Well, I think the current dynamics that are playing, with the shift in the whole supply chain of oil, I think that might shift how the industry is going to set themselves. But for me, thinking from the DSCA perspective, data science and engineering analytics, I think AI is going to be one of the most profound game changers now, because we have been in oil and gas very data and information intense. If you look from early oil discovery, there is myriads of data types, data information, volumes of data that's used. And if you can easily, leverage AI for coming to your decision making quicker and faster, that'll really impact the bottom line. So in the past, if I remember, your exploration efforts and production, they were very segregated sort of business sets. And now you can see that there's more integration. The speed of working through from your discovery to production has expedited. I would say almost, it's half, or it's going to be even much faster. What took like decades can be done now in few years, or it might be done in months. So that'll be the power of, changing. And also one of the things that is very much in the foreground is about costs. It's about safety. It is about security. It's about environmental. So all those have to be sort of work together. And ultimately, I think it is really the teams of experts using the right foresight, the right tools, but making the decisions that'll have a valued impact for whatever problem they're solving or the business. But AI, is going to be a game changer, definitely. It's already changing a lot of ways of working, and that's going to happen very soon in oil and gas more and more profoundly.
Yeah. For someone just entering the energy industry today, not focusing on the skills or tools, focusing on their mindsets, what are 3 beliefs you'll advise them to hold on to navigate the next decade?
I would say definitely the first thing they have to be very mindful is keep a very learning mindset, continuously be adapt to learn. There's a lot of things that you learn at job. You might be coming with your school learnings and what you have learned as a graduate. But every work environment, company can have its own culture, it can have its own practices. So coming with a sharp learning mind, also the business dynamics keep changing. So be very agile about adaptability, be willing to change, be willing to accept and move forward. I think that is very key. One of the other soft skills I would definitely emphasize is not only have your confidence built with the knowledge you're gaining, but be very proficient in your communications. I've seen that we have had very technically astute people who come, with degrees. If you're not able to communicate and translate, what your ideas are and what your thinking is to another peer, team, management, it doesn't help. Also, you have to simplify. You have to be able to narrate things from a technical perspective to a business perspective so that you can be, for example, funded so that people can come and join you. So those are some easy things I'm just saying to be able to step forward and join the industry. But also, in addition, build your knowledge, your alliances, by joining something like SPE, their technical sections, because that's kind of like a safe haven where you can test, try, you can reach out to role models, um, you can seek out help without feeling intimidated. So I think in parallel, if you do that, that'll really set you up very well for the future.
Yeah, all right. Now I would like us to shift the energy into something a bit different. We'll be playing a game. It's called
Okay.
Hire or Fire It. So you choose, you either hire
Okay.
something if you're up for it or you fire it. So can you start?
All right.
Okay.
All right.
Confidence before competence. Will you hire it or fire it?
Um, I would fire it. I think competence comes before confidence.
Learning on the job versus being fully prepared.
So fire it means you agree with it or you
So
disagree?
fire it, you disagree with it. Hire it, you agree with it.
Fire it. You have to learn on the job.
Learning on the job versus being fully prepared. Yeah. Failure as a necessary part of growth.
Hire it. I agree.
So you have to fail.
You definitely have to fail. I mean, fail is part of you learn. There's no choice but sometimes to fail, and then you learn from the failings. Yeah, ideally you shouldn't be failing in anything, but that's never practical. So even while we were doing this interview, our technological impediment stopped us, but we kept going. So maybe next time we try something different. So it's just very key that you fall, fail, and quickly learn and move forward.
Believing you belong before you feel ready.
Absolutely. I mean, I would say higher, and you have to go with the mindset that, you are there to make a difference. You don't have to feel awkward and out of place. And again, for that, it's very key to have preparation, to be mentally prepared, to know what you're setting yourself for, whether you're going for an interview or whether you're going for a team. I think that prep work and mental model uh, really helps. You can't let anything just falter you. It may be daunting, but you can do it.
Okay. The idea that the energy industry is already data-driven.
Yeah, I hire it, absolutely. Right from the onset, from early discovery to developing, it's very data intense.
AI influencing real operational decisions.
Yes, it already is. Especially like I mentioned in seismic and in predictability of your equipment, in operations, in working in the wells, more precision drilling. All this, can be definitely has already been started with AI.
Executive strategy meetings as a driver of real decisions.
I would say yes, I would hire that. That's true. Because ultimately you have to agree to, what your business is aiming for. You have to be strategically driven and put your science and expertise and all the elements we talked about behind it to get to what you're trying to achieve holistically as a company with your executive management behind it.
Top-down decision making.
I believe in both ways. So I wouldn't say I buy into it, but in certain areas you do have to have top-down decision making. But many times it has the flow has to be both ways. So this just depends. Like if you're driving, I would say, AI and data excellence across the company, you might need it top down because you could have cultural resistance, you could have, investments that are going in. So, but definitely you have to build your momentum and, aptitude for that, acceptance from that. So it has to be, generally speaking, I would like that to be both ways, but in some scenarios, it'll work that way.
What about consensus-driven decision making?
I think consensus is normally good, but again, this has to be finally done, in a way that decisions are made. Sometimes consensus building can take months and decades. I've seen that, I've experienced that. So finally, the person who has the key accountability based on what they have learned and see from a group of stakeholders, partners, they have to make the decision. So I like consensus building, but I'm not saying they alone should be making the decisions. It can be a person with the right accountability makes the decisions and goes forward.
Okay. And lastly, fast decisions over perfect decisions.
Now that is tricky, So obviously, you have to sometimes take fast decisions, but if your fast decisions are completely erroneous and they don't factor in a lot of elements, it can be disastrous. So fast decisions, if you're doing it in a very safety critical place and it doesn't factor in everything, it won't help. I think timely decision making is very important, and it may not be perfect decisions, but if you are well grounded, I really believe sometimes you have to do 80-20 and go with it. But be mindful of that you have, worked with your stakeholders, with your partners, and you are, you have done your due diligence. Ultimately, the fast decision making is, don't over analyze. Basically, you do all your due diligence and then take a timely decision, because sometimes the clock is king, and you just can't just sit and wait forever to perfect decision. So perfect decisions are very hard, but they have to be well grounded and done in a timely manner.
Okay. So to finish this off, we are trying to bridge generations over here, because like we have different generations, we have people different ages in the industry. So we are trying to like help understand each other. So I'll ask you one question from my generation to yours, and you'll ask me one question from yours to mine. So let's
Okay.
Okay, my question to you is, there's this perception that our generation, we are always on our phones every time. It's been an issue and most people have complained about it. especially in conferences. So let me ask, is it a problem, or we are being misunderstood, or we are misunderstanding what the issue is?
I would say, yeah, there are perceptions about, our millennials and Gen Z and the next generation. And I think that the key thing is to have, proper engagement. You know, they have excessive use of iPhones and technology, but I think people are beginning to realize that our younger upcoming generation is more astute with using, laptops and phones and what they can do digitally. Our mid-level and experienced people did not. Um, so there can be misconceptions about them, and the key thing is, um, you know, making sure that you make it clear, why you're using that technology. Let's say you're on the phone all the time, and your family members there, you could be making clear that, hey, no, right now I'm doing my homework and I have to do a paper. But also there is value and merit in, working face to face, talking direct, picking up the phone, engaging with a person. If you're there, getting on a flip chart and working rather than just being all the time, um, you know, using your tools and, equipment without the human interaction. So, yeah, it is possible that people can misconceive that, but they also see it as a strength, I think. They see that the value that talent bring, the agility in understanding, the agility in working, that is far more superior than what we might have had, decades ago. Um, but let's not undermine the value of, the human interactions, the collaboration, the mentoring, the exchange of ideas, learning from each other. That is of immense value. Like we say, the talk by the water fountain, just quick exchange. If you just can walk down to somebody and have that understanding, it's, you can see the cues, the emotions of a person. That helps sometimes. It can help diffuse, a conflict, but also to quickly grasp, getting clarity of ideas and working together. So I would say it's really complementing both together, using it in a hybrid manner that can be very valuable.
Okay.
Yeah. So the question I really want to ask is, how do you see, um, your senior generation or people you see as role models, to be effective, partners with you? How do we make our younger generation be more successful? How can we team up with you, and what can we do effectively to make you successful? Both like in your jobs when you're still learning in schools, as well as in SPE. So where do you see that we can, be joining our hands and saying, let's pull you up, let's help you progress and feel more welcome to the industry. What are the things that we can proactively do for you?
I feel like it's being given a room to like express yourself and show your ideas and like engage with you. In as much as you'll tell me to do this and this and this, I also want to like feel like I told you something, you heard me, you helped me through it, you helped me like create the final idea that way. Just being engaged, having the idea that you also took part in making that thing happen. Yeah.
No, I think that's excellent feedback, and I myself feel very privileged and, glad that I had opportunity to meet you in person in Kenya and hear your paper, and also that you're stepped up, that you have the opportunity to be on the DSCA, student and YP group. You're shaping the future, and you're also complementing like my ideas with yours. So I think I feel thrilled, but thank you for sharing that, Mercy.
Yes.
Really, that's useful.
And I think we're done. Sushma, thank you very much for such a thoughtful and engaging conversation. Yeah, it was really helpful.
Thank you, Mercy. And again, really compliment you for taking the initiative to, set up the podcast with all the challenges of time zone differences and the technical, your perseverance. Really appreciate it. And I'm looking forward to meeting you again in Kenya. So good luck and all the best.
Yeah. Good luck to you too.